Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Syndicate, a Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Ronan Unchained, and we are talking Andor. It's been 3 years, y'all. 3 effing years. And that is both scary and beautiful at the same time. For anybody watching this either in the live right now or recording, thank you so much for taking the time to check this out. I'm Ronan Jane. I'm a YouTuber, podcaster, interviewer, host for media outlets, and on my own channel. And I am a huge Star Wars fan. And I've been covering this show since it came out. I mean, hell, the celebration before it came out, because, and even beforehand, and I'll show you when there was first quote unquote footage of the show in one of the investors calls. And so I've been with this show for a while now. I have coverage from both seasons on my channel, which you can go check out. And yeah, we're gonna just hang out and talk about characters, about plots, about themes, about dialogues that still ring for us 3 years after it. We're gonna lean in more towards season one for you, just to celebrate it, because this is the season that started it off and where we're at. We'll dive maybe a little bit of season two later on, but for the time being, season one. And it's weird, y'all. If you're watching this, when this was first announced, I wasn't fully excited to see it. I love the character of Cassian Andor. I love Diego Luna. I really love Rogue One. And I felt, and maybe it's because of what happened with Solo, and maybe where I was at of like the approach of the studio, that are we really going to give this character his own show? What's he going to do? What's he going to provide? And it wasn't. I was like, I'm not going to watch this show. The hell with it. When all I want to see is just Jedi and Force stuff. No. I wasn't doing that stuff. But I had to admit that once I started seeing breadcrumbs of what this show could be and what it would end up being, I got very, very intrigued. And again, it has a long way goes when it comes to seeing, footage or visual stuff like this. Or if you go back even to some of I mean, this is a partial part of it, but the first poster I got of this show was a visual like this, and it's essentially a wanted sign, a wanted thing for Cassian and whatnot. And again, you're following a character from Rogue One that was the second new film of Disney era, and you're following this character who's intriguing as hell. But you're like, what are we going to do with him? What is worth spending time with? And I gotta tell you, I dare say, arguably, Andor is probably the best thing to happen to Star Wars since the 77. And again, we can leave that to debate, but it brought in new fresh blood and boundless opportunities afoot, I think. Hi, Darren. How you doing, man? If you have seen Andor, I can't remember if you've seen it or not, but if you have seen it, you want to join in, just let me know, and I'll send you the link. But yeah, it's man, here. So again, it was announced, cool, and again, folks, this was the original logo. I mean, hell, this shirt's available somewhere out there in the internet. This was the original logo for the show. So a lot's changed, and I want to just show you a clip. And who knows if I'll get copyrighted for this or whatnot. Disney, I'm not trying to promote it. I'm promoting your show. We're celebrating 3 years, but I want to show you the clip. Okay, only season one. LOL. Fair enough, Darren. Still, this is mostly what I'm going to be talking about. So if you do want to join, just let me know, and I'll send you the link. But yeah, most of what we've seen, and again, you'll see in the footage, but it was just stuff like this. It was concept art. You would see, echoes of what would later happen in the show itself, and you're like, what the hell are they doing with this show? And again, this is the first clip of stuff that I remember of this show leading up to its release. And again, it's a celebration we're doing for this series that impacted the galaxy far, far away. This was what dropped during the investor call of 21. correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments down below if I'm off by my date. But I'm pretty sure this was before the teaser trailer, which I'll maybe show later, depending on where I'm at with the channel. If anybody hits me from Disney, to see where we're at. And yeah, so this, I'll show you the first official thing of like, oh man, this show is really happening, and you'll see right now where we're at.
Everything I did for the rebellion. Rogue One, in many ways, it's a film that connected new audiences with the oldest fans. It was a bittersweet feeling, in the premiere, knowing that it was just one film. But then magic happens, right? As you can see, we're getting ready. We're building stages, we're rehearsing, we're training, we're trying costumes, we're doing everything to make sure we do the best show. I'm really excited having the chance to explore Cassian. It's really fun to go on a set that is emulating something you like so much.
The enormity of this is like doing a big feature film.
It's very cinematic. For me, that's where the excitement is.
12 episodes, 12 scripts, over 200 named cast members, over 6,000 crowd people, a lot of creatures that come in from the creature department.
We treat this exactly like we would a film. There is no difference in our approach.
Every creature and droid that we've been building has the same care, level of attention to detail as the previous films.
It's huge, it's thrilling, but also it's wonderfully challenging.
There's tons of possibilities to explore. It is the building of a revolution.
Oh man. What a different world we're at. Well, in terms of the story, not we're still fuck up world. And yeah, it just, man, the time before, and again, this was the first like echoes of like, okay, this feels very and again, people might be like, sacrilegious, how dare you compare it to that stuff? But I could only think that this reminded me of like, well, what the Clone Wars did for the prequel era, this might do for that sweet spot, for that unsweet spot between episodes 3 and episode 4 of like the building of the revolution, the building of the tension, the announcement of that, like, oh no, the Empire won't rule with an iron fist, and if people are gonna fight back, they're gonna fight to the end of death, and it just, oh man, just so good. And I want to just make it clear for everybody that I'm here to talk about Andor, but I don't negate what's happening right now, especially the moves that Disney's made as of recent times, which I don't agree with at all. Mickey Mouse, everybody, get your together. I think I seen the photo, but somebody literally hold up a poster saying, "Did you not watch Andor?" I hope the resolution happens as soon as possible, and that nothing changes with that. That hopefully Mr. Kimmel can still keep saying what he wants, because that's the point of this country, and what we're allowed to say. And yeah, hopefully that stuff is resolved. But continuing on with Andor, yeah, I listen, and to be frank, we're not here without Tony Gilroy, but people wouldn't try even like investing time in a show based on a character like this if it wasn't with the enigmatic performance that Diego Luna gave us in Rogue One. The fact that we meet him and we're like, oh, again, I'm like, oh, it's a Latino in Star Wars. Oh, cool. He's rendezvousing with someone to get information, and then next thing you know, boom, he kills the dude. And again, for anybody watching this, spoilers. It's for almost a 10-year-old movie, which that's fucking wild to say, and a 3-year-old TV series. But yeah, he kills the dude he's getting his information from, and it's just like, what the hell? And you're seeing that idea and how much he's both black and white of responsibilities of actions in that movie, which leads up to this show. And I was just so as soon as this rumble started occurring, I was like, all right, I'm in. I'm willing to give it a try, and hopefully it delivers and doesn't deter or take anything away from what's been built up now. Another reason why I was also pumped for this show was because we were gonna get more time with Genevieve O'Reilly's Mon Mothma, and the fact that, dare I say, she's been, man, probably outside of Andor, my favorite character that's had more time to shine in this era. I think I could say that. Again, I always known of Mon Mothma, and maybe I should have delved into the books more as a kid, but I was just like, give more to her. There's so much. She's friends with Leia. Like, and by this point, I had seen Rebels. She's friends with Hera, with the Ghost Crew. They've interacted multiple times. Do something with it. And I was, again, we'll talk about more of her later, but I was just so happy that we were getting more with Genevieve O'Reilly. And again, for those who don't know the story, she was in Revenge of the Sith initially, but her scenes were cut out, and it was that I can't even imagine how maybe sad she was to hear that, but how much it was. There's a silver lining in everything, and how later, years down the line, you might get the opportunity to give more depth to this character and make her a fan favorite. Like, I know now she's one of my fan favorites, and whenever she appears in something, whether it's a book or a show or an animated series, I always get a kick out of it. Again, we nothing to do with it, but Ahsoka down the line, you see her, and I was like, oh man, what this means. But now you're like, oh, what does it signify for her character now, where she's in charge but also has to balance out running a galaxy and whatnot. So she's just a gem, and again, I'll talk more about later. But I think we should watch the teaser trailer. Again, I am not making a buck out of this. I just want to share my enthusiasm, how much I love that this exists, and thank you to Tony Gilroy for leading the charge in the story and going balls to the walls, to be quite frank, and setting, again, this was my first celebration. Again, to give some backstory, 2022, I think, or 2021. I'm forgetting it. The COVID years were weird. My first celebration in Anaheim, I met other friends, Kyle Katarn, Bendu, and other creators there. And they were showcasing the first episodes of Obi-Wan. Some of us got lucky to see some very, 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 very early footage of Ahsoka, Bad Batch, the announcement for more stuff. And one of these presents was Andor. And I'm telling you, y'all, like, I was there. I was like, I'm very intrigued to see what they're going to show us or what this show's going to be. And I'll just say this, that, like, especially when I did my review, which I think, I uploaded a review into the channel, which you can go watch, of just how much I looked back then and what I felt right after experiencing it. But it was just a kick to the balls. And it was like, okay, this is on the radar now. Now I have to watch. Now I have to, like, be engaged and see when this comes out and see if it hopefully does deliver, and just hope that, like, all right, this maybe gives new blood into the galaxy. Because again, we have Mando, and both can coexist. Both the Mandalorian and Andor can coexist, and both can help one another to, like, shape writing, stories, editing, music, performances, all that, and just enhance the universe, the galaxy, more beyond the first 9 films, beyond just focusing on the Skywalker family. And I say, like, just watch the teaser trailer. Again, it's under 2 minutes long, but I always come back to this because it just set the tone and vibe, and it's just like, no, this isn't your dad's Star Wars. This isn't in your grandpa's Star Wars. This is almost like your cool uncle that's probably gonna show you a movie you shouldn't be watching, or or giving you a book you shouldn't be reading at such a young point in your life. But I go back to it and I'm like, especially nowadays, what's happening, I go back to it just to get this vibe, this energy. So let's check out the first teaser trailer to Andor that was premiered at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim.
They're so proud of themselves, so fat and satisfied.
They're everywhere. They're watching me now.
Soon enough, these days will end. There will be no rules going forward. People are standing up. That's what a reckoning sounds like.
So fucking good. Oh man, that was. Oh man, that shook everybody. Just just like, what the hell are we getting into? And again, for a lot of us who cover, the YouTube stuff, when they announced that, like, eventually it was gonna be, it's a 3-episode premiere. It's like, fuck, we gotta edit three videos worth of material to put out into the internet and see if we start connecting. And yeah, man, I don't know who mostly does the trailers for Lucasfilm, specifically for Star Wars, but whoever does the trailers, give yourselves a round of applause. I want everybody here who's watching either live or on rewind, go give said person a round of applause. If someone knows it, please let me know who they are. That way I can just tweet at them or on social media or an email, be like, yo, you're doing a good enough job. Keep up the good work, because trailers and teasers are an art form, in my opinion. They should be just as rewarded as anything in any form of movie and television. And I just, I love that, they're so proud of themselves. They're so fat and satisfied. And Fiona Shaw's killer ending of people are standing up, and that's what a reckoning sounds like. And again, just the relevancy of this show and that teaser nowadays is just, it's crazy. It's, as Tony Gilroy likes to say here once in a while, they're like, it's sad how much the parallels are between the show and what's happening in real life. But the silver lining is that this show gives people like my age and younger and a little bit older this drive to know, stand up, don't give an inch. And I just adore it, and I'm thankful for the show of what it's done these past few years. And but yeah, folks, I'm gonna say this just again. I want to give a celebration, just a shout out to the people behind it, and I'm gonna go with just the writers and the directors right now of the first season. So, in season 1, the first 3 episodes are Casa, That Would Be Me, and Reckoning. These 3 episodes were written by Tony Gilroy and directed by Toby Haynes. Episodes 4, 5, and 6, Aldani, The Axe Forgets, The Eye, are written by both Danny and Tony Gilroy and directed by Susanna White. 7th episode, Announcement, is written by Stellan Shift, and Tony Gilroy. Forgive me if I'm butchering your name. And Benjamin Caron. Episodes 8, 9, and 10, the best arc of that season, in my opinion. Narkina 5, Nobody's Listening, One Way Out, are written by Bill Williman and Tony Gilroy and directed by Toby Haynes. Nobody's Listening is my favorite episode of season 1, hands down. It's what's how many cars are watching? Never more than 12, and just the build of the Narkina prisoners. And anyways, we'll get to it. Which leads out the last 2 episodes of season 1, which are Daughter of Ferrex and Rick's Road, written by Tony Gilroy and directed by Benjamin Caron. I'll say this: even I initially could sense that it was slow, but to a lot of people's surprise, I'm a weird kid. I was born in the mid-90s. I didn't get into Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon at an early age. I was watching old movies. I was watching Westerns. And guess what? A lot of them were slow. So I was used to the momentum and the pacing of slow television. But then again, you need those episodes and the initial arc to build up the world you're going to be hanging out with, the characters you're going to be following, and how much at stake is going to just tighten up. But that's the writers and the directors who provided the first 12 episodes of season 1 of Andor. And the composer, shout out to Nicholas Britell, who brought home the music, especially the Marvel speech. That piece of music that's also later used in season 2 for Mon's speech. I'm looking over right now and I'm like, yep, Ferrex, first arc. Don't you want to fight for something? Don't you want to fight for something real? The Aldani heist, the manifesto, Nimic's manifesto. Oppression is the mask of fear, and just the announcement, the huddle up of I think Colonel Yularen be like, I've spoken with the Emperor Palpatine, and giving ISB all access to just round the people and interrogate them. And how Dedra is the one who's like, no, this isn't just the regular burglary. This is like a big movement, a big chess move. The Narkina arc, I think a lot of people universally were just like, that was the arc that really brought home together what's at stake. And again, you're just following prisoners out of prison who realize that they're just being used for labor and not really changing their lives, not really improving their lives to not do the mistakes that got them in there in the first place. And then, Kino Roy, Olaf, again, at the same time, throughout all these arcs, it's the beauty of the show, especially in season 1. You're following Andor, you're following Luthen, making up the rebellion out of his garage, and yet Mon Mothma is trying to quietly pull the money together, and there's setbacks of like, okay, they're monitoring her, they're watching her now, and how much moves do we make? And it just I love that. And then again, the whole lead up of like, by this point, Bix is being held up, tortured, and Andor has to get back to Ferrex after doing the heist, parting ways, and has the call to go talk and see his mother. And the crescendo of Marvel's speech of like, if I had a second chance, I would wake up early and start fighting these bastards. Fight the Empire. Or as initially it was written, fuck the Empire. Which would have been awesome to hear on Disney Plus. But yeah, folks, that's season 1. I'm not gonna go into each episode, but I just want to give again. I have them all here, but man, it's just a bag of riches. I mean, Diego Luna, Cassian Andor, Denise Go as Dedra Meero, Stellan Skarsgård as Luthen Rails, Kyle Solar as Cyril Karn, Adria Arjona as Bix Kalin, personal favorite of mine, Anton Lesser as Major Partagas, Genevieve Riley as Mon Mothma, Elizabeth Delu, her first acting thing as Cleo Markey, Faye Marseille as Vel Sartha, Varada Sithu as Cinta Cass, Robert Ems as Supervisor Lonnie Jong, Joplin Sipstain as Brasso, Man, just Duncan Powell has come back as Melshi from Rogue One. Just oh man, just so good, so good. But yeah, I felt that in season one, my favorite like performance and character to follow was Jenny Varally's Mon Mothma. She really like, man, oh man, just following her and seeing how much pressure she was on, and trying to do right by the rebellion and trying to move stuff while at the same time handling her own personal life. She's starting to have a fallout between her own daughter, her husband, who they're married, but God knows why they got married in the first place. I guess just tradition and just stuff from folks in their families. But she was the highlight for me, and I'm really sad that after all these years, Jennifer Varelli didn't get her flowers and the Emmys and any big awards to showcase what she was willing to do with a character that was initially in the background, but has been built up to one of the pillars of the rebellion, and in my opinion, one of the fan favorites of Star Wars of all time. And again, yeah, I think it was also cool to see folks like Clea and Vel. Again, this first season, they're just building up their momentum, and then they flourish way more in season 2. But you see how much they're starting as grunts, and especially, in my opinion, Vel is wanting to become a leader, and just seeing her do the work and whatnot. You see Clea being not even assistant, but also co-running this side of the rebellion with Luthen, and trying to make sure that everything is right, the pieces are right. And you're like, why? Initially, why is she so driven to be part of the rebellion? Why? And they keep it close to the chest and don't start telling us a peek of it until season 2, y'all, until the fucking very end of season 2. And the fact that this was Elizabeth's first acting thing is just wild, but truthful in many ways. Another that was a fan favorite that, like, much like, and again, this is just, I'm trying to give his flowers as well, is that Dedra Meero, Denise Gough, was just, I couldn't stop watching. I couldn't stop watching at all. And again, much like, and I'm trying to be complimentary, like Colonel Hans Landa and Glorious Bastards with Christoph Waltz, they're the bad guys. I'm rooting against them, but I can't stop watching to see if they can get closer to the mystery, if they can solve the puzzles, if they can get ahead of the curve from all this. And I'll never forget her mentioning her plan of, like, make it look like an accident in the shipping lanes to Major Partagas. What can we do when we got rid of the bodies? What would happen now? And it's just like, oh my God, this is so much Gestapo talk happening in Star Wars with the Imperials. And again, I mean, go follow, please. I encourage everybody to go follow her on social media. She is, Denise in real life is very much the anti-Dedra. She is a saint. Right now she's in, I believe, in Palestine, helping out as much as he can with volunteering work, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Dedra Meero has been one of the again, you gotta, as much as we're saying it's Andor, it's TV show, and of course it is. It's Diego's show, of course it is. I mean, look at that. You also need to have a balance of your antagonists, your villains, who have depths to them. Now, whether you're interested in those depths or not, that's up to you, and whether you can put down the controller or not. But as an equal, you need to have your heroes to be heightened up and your villains to be heightened up. And this was the shot of season 1 of Dedra, of like, I am in control. If I want you to die, you wait till I tell you to die. If you feel pain, no. I'll tell you when you can feel pain, when you can start doubting yourself. And just this look that she was exchanging to Biggs at the time was just like, the fuck is up with this lady? Like, oh, I hope she gets her comeuppance. But she does get hit in the head with a rock, I believe, at the end of Rick's Road. Just beautiful work between these performers, in my opinion. We got some comments down here. Hey, Adria Grogu, how you doing, man? No, it's all good, man. 3 years, I know. So for anybody who doesn't know this, and initially my thumbnails and all the info, I put it 2-year celebration, and I went back to double check, and I'm like, was it 2 years or was it 3 years? And I went back, and I'm like, holy hell, I spent 3 fucking years. 3 years since this show showed up in our lives. And I keep forgetting because it took them every, 2 years, 2.5 years to make each season. Just, wild, man. But yeah, man, if you're free right now, you want to geek out and celebrate, let me know, and I'll send you the link on DMs, and I'll happily get you on, man, to hear your takes about, favorite arc, favorite dialogue, favorite phrase, favorite theme, favorite character. Please let me know if you're down to do that. The Mandalorian and Starfighter make money at the box office. I think they will stay at Lucasfilm. I think so. I mean, I don't think I've heard the rumors of when she might leave. If so, if she wants to leave, she's earned the right to leave whenever she wants to. If she wants to keep on going and thinks there's more she can give to Star Wars and Indiana Jones, I guess, in that sake. Listen, and I've been very clear that have I agreed with everything she's done? No. But have I condemned her and tell her, get up and burn in hell and all that stuff, further? No. Because although I have my issues with stuff that of how stuff went about in the sequels, this lady, no matter how much she was involved or not involved, gave us stuff like Rebels, gave us stuff like The Mandalorian, gave us stuff like Andor, The Bad Batch, gave us the last season of Clone Wars. So I don't take that for granted. But again, if those 2 films make money and she does want to leave, hell of a way to leave and be like, I just gave y'all some of the best television in the past few years and new energy into this franchise. Mic drop. There she goes, riding off to the sunset. And again, from personal experience, she's very much a very nice, kind lady in person. I was lucky enough to meet her in London, and nothing uptight about being president. I just literally, she passed me. I waved hi. She waved back. I went back, and I was like, Miss Kennedy, can I take a picture? She said, yeah, please. Yeah, sure. And yeah, she was very, very kind to me. Folks, one of my favorite dialogues in the history of Star Wars now is I have friends everywhere. That's something I will take to me to my grave. And I do have friends everywhere. And I have a friend of mine here who's joining us. Brent, hey,
how's it going? Man? Good. Wow, 3 years since Celebration, and the drop of that trailer was quite something, I have to admit. I don't think I got the chance to see the live stage. The main stage that day, but I did see the live stage when it was going on, and they had both Genevieve and Diego on the stage, the live stage, I should say. And again, we're only maybe about 10, 15 feet away from them. I was that close. And the amazing energy that both Genevieve and Diego had and talked about, and how passionate they were about what they had done for season 1 back then was quite incredible. And I remember this one little moment that at the end of that speech, a fan handed up a poster, to see if Diego and Genevieve would, sign it. And literally, Diego was just here, literally there's a 5-foot gap between where the audience was and the edge of the stage. And he grabbed it and he signed it and he gave it back to the, to the audience member. And it was they're so passionate about the fans and passionate about their work. So it is, and was only the right that their performances and what they brought to the table was exceedingly well done. That being said, season 1 of Andor for me, there were things that were just the best Star Wars ever, but there were some things for me personally that were too serious. And I don't want to go, off on anything negative. I needed a little bit of light humor for my Star Wars in between. Sure. I don't feel like we got enough of that in season 1. So sitting through season 1 at the time for me, when I watched it when it first aired, I took in this element of like, I love the design. I kind of wish there was a few more aliens in this version of the world. I feel like that would have been a bit of an upgrade. I also was hoping for a few more droids, and I'm saying just background stuff to make me feel more involved ever being in the Star Wars world. But I also understand what Gilroy was going for with the human element. It also works too very greatly when you consider the fact that, you know, the human element, the aliens for the Empire were literally just that. They were aliens. They were to be mistrusted. They weren't to be, you know, that. So you wouldn't have many of them around near the Empire. They would have been in like the Wookiees were imprisoned and this sort of stuff by the Empire. So sorry, I'm going off on a rant.
No, please.
Getting back to it, season 2 for me for Andor picked up in those areas that I was hoping to have seen in season 1 a little more. I got that little bit of light Star Wars humor between the drama. There's only so much heaviness you can take in a show without having something to lightly break up the heaviness. And I think they nailed season 2 so much better than season 1. And that's not putting down season 1 whatsoever. Season 1 was still some of the best Star Wars we'd ever seen. But at the same time, just the comparison for season 1 and season 2 for me. But season 1.
It's different, man. Like you can like, and again, I always say like, listen, I love season 2 way more, but we don't get to season 2 without season 1.
Oh no, you definitely need you need to know.
You need the stuff with Ferrex, especially early on. Yeah. To me, it's ironic. And again, if there's stuff that, you know, again, for those who are watching, this is what we have to make clear. This show was such a shockwave in both the fandom and television fans who were like, Star Wars is doing this. Yeah. It's not just, you know, the same 2-3 lines that we hear in all the movies. They're going, they're literally stripping away and going to the meat about what it means to be, you know, rebel scum, like what it means to be a stormtrooper. And so I remember, you know, whether how much engagement was there between the characters. I remember, you know, the show and the episodes. I remember how much for a lot of people it was just like, this is kind of too real for me and too serious and whatnot. And that was the point of just like, go ahead.
I was going to say, did that seriousness take you out of Star Wars in the sense of what George Lucas had set up? No. And again, that was my difference. I was taken out a little bit. There's this fine line between needing something to break up the darkness of what you're trying to tell. And anyway, that was just me personally.
No. The reason why it didn't for me is because up until that point, the closest we got to something like this and the implications and the meaning behind them was if I'm not mistaken, the Umbara arc in Clone Wars. Where the clones start doubting themselves with that one Jedi. And they're like, no, we have to like stand on our own, and we're not just going to be used as just throwaway corpses and whatnot. That was so it's been tinkered with and poked on before, but it didn't go straight in like this show, first season did. And and again, at points, you know, you can notice, oh wow, they really want to make sure that this is not full on Star Wars like that from the past. Like at one point during the Aldani arc, one of them, I forgot I forgot the character's name, but like is holding his blaster, and it's literally an AK-47 shaped blaster. I was like, okay, cool. I can notice that and whatnot. And I think, but here's the thing: up until by this time, I think we had one season of Mando, or at least 2 seasons of Mando. I believe. I could be wrong. My timetable is messed up.
Yeah.
We, in my opinion, in hindsight now, we really needed something like this. Not even just to shake things up with the franchise, but just let people know like there's way more space. I've always said that the Star Wars has only tipped a little bit of the iceberg. There's so much more you can do with this franchise. And yes, George has always said that they're supposed to be for 12-year-olds and for kids and whatnot. I'm like, yes. Yeah. But if you want your company to sustain, if you want it to be what it is now, and how generational it is, don't be afraid to lean into something that maybe is not for 12-year-olds, but it's maybe for 16-year-olds, for
Yeah.
18-year-olds, for people
Oh, yeah.
who are finishing high school or who are about to start college. And if George Lucas is a student of history and a student of social studies and dynamic between people and societies, this, again, we haven't heard if George Lucas has seen Andor, but by now, after 2 seasons, I kind of think he would be impressed and be like, listen, this is very very hitting one lane than what I would have done for kids. But
I would imagine so.
I think he would be appreciative. Like someone's like, okay, someone is saying something here. And he's like he said, I always use Star Wars as a vessel to throw in anything I want to do. This is using Star Wars as a vessel to throw anything you want to. And yet, I would argue, make some of the most fresh and compelling characters we've gotten in the past 25 years.
Yeah. The one thing I was going to say, and it kind of even dates back to Rogue One. When Rogue One was coming out, they were literally saying, this is the Saving Private Ryan of the Star Wars universe. And that excited me a lot. I personally think they could have gone a little darker even in Rogue One, in my opinion. They definitely, which was weird, is like saying that, but there was elements of that was that weird combination of like, I feel like Lucasfilm were trying to find that balance between what they wanted. So you do have this, you've got these great characters that they had created in this very gritty situation, and they definitely put you in the middle of the war battle of the of the moment of Rogue One. But it also became very exciting as an exciting time from Rogue One specifically, because then you knew you could get a comedy Star Wars in the future, or a horror Star Wars in the future, or any of these things, and make any of these movies, become a full feature within a genre of that, and not have to concern yourself about, whether or not it was, right or wrong. It just felt still natural to be in the Star Wars universe. And they've hit and they've missed with that, along the way. There's always hits and misses. But getting back to Andor, it really, the grittiness with those characters played through nicely to where they ended up in Rogue One, in my opinion, of seeing them. You had to see the loss of what the characters lose, to be able to get to where Star Wars: A New Hope begins. For that light kind of thing. Yeah, sure.
So I've asked a question. I posed this already to the comment section for anybody watching right now live or in repeat. Because again, we don't have time to break every episode and every arc. Again, maybe one day if we could pull off like a longer stream, we're like, all right, we're gonna hit every arc as best as we can. But I would ask you, what is your favorite arc of season 1?
I mean, it's got to be
or episode.
The arc specifically. Sorry, because I cannot remember the name of the arcs. The one when they're on the with Andy Serkis in the
Narkina 5.
Yes, Narkina 5 arc.
Yes,
it's the best arc because it feels like the most hopelessness of situations. It feels like that your entire hope has been removed, and you don't know if. And they did it so well that it was a matter of when they did succeed, and you realize that, again, spoilers here for anybody who hasn't seen it, obviously, but when Andy Serkis doesn't make it off the platform with the others for the reason, the simplest of reasons why he couldn't leave.
I can't swim.
Or couldn't, it was heartbreaking, and it was beautifully heartbreaking because you got to love this character and become endeared with that character so much and not even realize you were getting that pulled in, because he was a bit of a jerk at the beginning of that arc. And so as a guest appearance, he definitely was my favorite, and that arc was my favorite because of the way that everybody played off of each other in that particular scene. I think most people are going to say that's probably their favorite arc. Is what I'm guessing, and it's not to belittle any of the other arcs because they all were needed. They all developed these characters such well arcs. So.
Yeah, I think that universally, an Arcana 5 arc is the one arc where we're like, wow, we're meeting all these people. There's Melshi, but like we're meeting all these people that like again. And I thought about it recently. I'm like, you know what? I didn't know these people's past. I didn't know any of their past. They might have been violent, criminals and got sent to prison. But by the time I spent time with them, I was just like, let's get on. Especially to me, the episode of that season was Nobody's Listening. Yeah. Where you start seeing the cracks of like, level 2 people got fried, and Kino Roy's in denial, and you start seeing the small breadcrumbs of Cassian as a leader. Yeah, and at the same time, Mon is trying to move her money with being resistant of like Delvin Scaldin, being a criminal and whatnot. Like a lot of that arc did for both the prison stuff and the outskirts stuff of the rebellion. It was doing so much stuff. I think I could be wrong, but that arc I think had also Forrest Whitaker's Saw Gerrera, and for the greater good. Letting a squadron of 30, I think it was 31 soldiers die just so the Empire wouldn't get ahead of them and start suspecting malice intent from the rebellion. And it's so good. And man, I mean, I saw a lot of people. That was during the time that, again, we were all trying to cover it as much as we can. And I would also watch everybody else's videos, and we would all be like emotional when Olaf gets it. And we'd see it how, you see how Cassian is teaching Kino to tell a speech, like, you have to tell him. You have to lead us out of here. The whole, that's where, again, for those who don't know, One Way Out came from this arc from these episodes. That's something now that I see whenever I go to a celebration and there's a Star Wars vibe to it. Someone is gonna end up yelling "One Way Out." Again, to bring it out and how much this show really has hit its zeitgeist, for better or for worse, with the times we're living in. Now, when I see protest, or when I go to a protest, someone eventually is holding a sign that says "One Way Out" or yelling "One Way Out," and it's just like that tells you the power the writing went through, the power the performances came through with these specific episodes, this specific season. For this season, did you have a favorite character you followed one up? Because my favorite character I was following wasn't Cassian. I love Cassian. I was interested to see where he was, but he wasn't my favorite character that I was following this season.
No, I mean, besides performances, which they were all fantastic, Luthen was it. He was the one that was this mystery character that we've never seen before, and I think it was about the mystery of who he is, what he's been creating. Not a matter, we know what he was creating. We just didn't know how he was necessarily creating it, and what strings he was pulling. And as we slowly got to see him pull these strings, especially into season 2, it takes it down to his own sacrifice at that point of what he believed in. It was the perfect thread of a character and performance that I think we've seen in almost in any Star Wars at this point. He really was fantastic,
it's wild that he was doing Stellan Skarsgård. For anybody who knows, one of the best actors.
Oh, it's fantastic
of the past 30-40 years. Just a force to be reckoned with. And again, at the same time, I'm not mistaken, he was doing Dune. So he was playing, Emperor of the Harkonnens, and yet he was playing this extremist rebellion leader.
Yes,
I mean,
is the reverse of it?
The very polar opposite. And then again, this season gives us his speech of like, I burned my life for a sunrise and I know I'll never see. I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemies to defeat them. I share my dreams. Yes, I share my dreams with Ghost and whatnot. Like that monologue, I remember when that hit the fan.
Yeah.
it was like almost like a calling card for anybody. I was like, all right, that's the monologue I'm going to use in my acting,
Yeah.
my acting.
I hadn't even thought about that
reel.
you're right. Yeah. But I mean, even for people to, exactly, anybody to you do that as a performance, it's like it's a great piece of dialogue too. We tend to forget about the script writing in this series and just how solid it was for getting characters not just from A to B, but just the intentions and the intent behind each character. And how they developed and grew over the course of time, even if they didn't survive to the end. You saw this development growth of every single character, which was great.
I have a question because you, in my opinion, you know more about Star Wars than I do. You probably do. At least you probably experienced more of it, and that's why I want to ask you. I had always known about Mom Mothma. I always known about her, and I up to the point I had known that like, oh, they had shot something. I had seen the deleted scenes on Revenge of the Sith DVD. They shot something with Mon Mothma, but they cut it out. Were you shocked how much more they gave the character in this series? To the point now that for me, for my money, she's a fan favorite character. But I always wondered, did she have this much of a presence in the EU? Was she that like big in the EU that just didn't showcase in the live action?
Here's the weird thing: the EU, I never read any, with the exception of the Timothy Zahn Thrawn novels,
Heir of the Empire,
way back, Heir of the Empire series. They're the only books I ever read, so I never really connected Mon Mothma with the EU. I connected Genevieve. Well, actually, let's just go back to when I was 13 years old and Return of the Jedi came in. Oh God, and I forgot the actress's name who played the original Mon Mothma. But she had this incredible presence as a character that we'd never seen before. You know, we had Dodonna in A New Hope, but then we had this character Mon Mothma, and she had, again, it was the passion behind her speech. You know, many Bothams die to bring us this information. That particular piece of dialogue for me as a kid was like, this shows the realm of this character as being a real, true leader. I want to know more. And then my next reaction was, when I was 13, when's the action figure coming out of Mon Mothma? For kids who didn't want to have, boys who didn't want to have the female characters, I want to have the female heroines, in my collection. And she never came out as an action figure back in 1983. And that was a great disappointment to me throughout those years. I even went as far as taking another figure, painting it, and doing my own Mon Mothma figure in that display. that is the power of that character. So when it came to Revenge of the Sith, and we had these deleted scenes and stuff like that going on, I had read early on in some of those magazines, like Starlog, some of those other magazines, might have been looked after, that they picked an actress to represent her, but I don't recall the photos of Genevieve O'Reilly back then. And then when I finally got to see those deleted scenes on the Blu-rays, I'm like, holy shit, she is absolutely perfect, both visually and performance-wise, to what I knew Mon Mothma would become. And I was like, man, this is back in the 90s. 2000s, whenever,
early 2000s,
early 2005, when it came out on Blu-ray, so probably 2006 at that point. And I was like, man, I kind of really, I wish these were not deleted scenes. I wish they were in such gold material. And B, it just sucks that we're never going to see this actress play that character again. And again, boy, was I wrong, which I'm thankfully was wrong. And it's great that Lucasfilm appreciated and respected both the actress and thought she'd be perfect to come back and re-air that role, and that they gave her that opportunity to shine in that matter. because she nailed it again. Genevieve O'Reilly nailed that every performance, every moment, every scene that we'd never seen before. And for me, she could keep on playing Mon Mothma as long as they want to keep her into this generation. She's old enough to match the version that we saw in Return of the Jedi. And it becomes one of those questions we don't need to kind of face change.
No CG
the
shit,
actress,
no
CG.
no.
She's more Mon Mothma than the original actress, and that's not to belittle the original because she was also fantastic. But we are in an age where technology can sometimes interfere with performance and take you out of the moment. And she, as I said, the fact that we saw her in Ahsoka post Return of the Jedi, we got those elements there of like, okay, let's just keep doing this. Please keep doing this.
Yeah.
So,
Caroline Blackiston was the actress who played Mon Mothma in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
she's still around. Wondered,
she's getting around. She's very old, but
I always wondered why. And again, I throw this gauntlet now even to not even just Star Wars, but even Marvel and DC nowadays. A lot of the main IPs. Why don't you do, if you can't build a set for $200 million for a TV show or a movie, if you can't, for some reason, don't have faith in animation a lot like you used to do, especially internationally. Why don't you do almost like a radio drama with sound effects and music, and just hire the actors and actresses to come in once for a week and give you a season worth of a podcast, scripted podcast? I always wondered, like, why wouldn't they have done that for Mon Mothma and Leia back in the late 80s, early 90s, and give Caroline and like at that time Carrie Fisher just stuff to build up on the characters? And I even look at it now and I'm like, if we get more of Genevieve O'Reilly's Mon Mothma, which I hope we do in Ahsoka season 2, but like even in between, or for some of the novels, get Genevieve in the booth with an actress who can match vocally, visually, Leia for now. And
they literally are called actors for a reason. They're designed, if they're good enough, they're going to give you a performance that's both believable and vocally in the tone, and not take you out of that moment either. So
she was my favorite character of season 1. Like, wardrobes aside, which again, Michael Wilkinson, I believe that's his name. I could be wrong. The costume designer, just a phenomenal job. And like, I mean, this was a shot from the teaser of like, they're everywhere now. They're watching me. And I remember being like, holy shit. Like, and again, naively, I'm like, oh man, Diego Luna's going to have to like be her Secret Service agent to protect the center. When they don't meet at all in season 1. And they barely meet at the end of season 2. And she was just my favorite character. And again, for a lot of us who've been watching Star Wars consistently, we had gotten more taste of her in Rogue One and then in Rebels. So we knew that eventually, and again, it's the poetry of this show with other stuff, relations that like, at some point, she starts hanging out with the Ghost Crew. At some point, she makes it clear the Gorman Massacre.
She voiced that.
I had it up to here. She has, I think, one of her top 3 moments as a character is in Rebels, where she
absolutely
argues with Saw Gerrera about like diplomacy and war and whatnot. Like, I adored it. Do you have a favorite dialogue, a line from season 1?
It's been a while, so there's, I mean, obviously One Way Out's the main line. I'll be honest, I can't remember the specific, any specific line. I need to watch something like 20 times for me to really kind of take in those moments. And I will be honest, I've only seen Andor season 1 twice. Because it's heavy material. It's for me. Yeah, I mean, when I watched Star Wars: A New Hope when I was a kid, I watched it, once a week for 2 years, and so I could recite the entire saga beginning to end. But as the TV shows, which are longer, obviously, than the feature film, when you consider it's 8 hours worth, usually, or thereabouts, it's hard to pull in even Ahsoka, which is, I love that character. She's my favorite character. I can't give you my favorite line of that show either, because I've only seen it a handful of times. So it's one of those things of like, I don't know. It has to be ingrained in me over the years, and so far that dialogue has not been ingrained in me. One Way Out is obviously the most memorable, but I don't know. I can tell you that my favorite speech in season 1 was again Luthen's speech that he made when they're standing there, when they're standing in the chains with the chains hanging down, and when he's talking to that whole speech was great. But I also saw that speech on the big screen because they had the trailer, that whole preview at the beginning of Rogue One when they re-aired Rogue One on the big
That's
screen.
right, they released that.
And to see that scene on the big, that was okay. I'm always going to say this: if you can take any episode of Star Wars and put it on the big screen, I'm sold. I'm right there. If you can give me a scene and put it on the big screen, like just a 2-minute scene, I'm going to go see it because I want to see it on the big screen. So that scene, which was a slightly edited down scene, on the big screen, was great. It was so cool, and it had me hanging. I'm just like, this I need to see the rest of this. I just wish we could have seen it all on the big screen.
Yeah, I had hoped that they would have done what Game of Thrones and Walking Dead had done, where like they showed some of the episodes in movie theaters for people to experience it.
Yeah,
I wish they would have done that more for Andor, but I know it was during COVID. All that stuff,
there was rumor for season 2 that they were going to put some of the arcs up for the 10th anniversary. Wait, what are we at? Whichever anniversary we're at of Rogue One. Wait, is Rogue One
next year?
Next year. That's it. It was next year that they. I hope they do that. I hope they do take some of the arcs from season 2 and put them on as mini movies on the big screen. Because if they do, that's it. Sold. I'll go in every day to watch it. Watch those episodes on the big screen. It's simple as that. If I can experience that as a big screen experience for me,
the Aldani heist on the big screen.
In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, it'd be amazing.
Imagine seeing this on IMAX. Just like, shit.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Again, more shout outs. I want to give a shout out to Cinta and Vel. I think their dynamics in this season, I didn't see coming. B, I'm glad it's part of it. And in the later stream when we get into season 2, I was so impressed with where they went. And although it's heartbreaking, it just makes me care about these characters so more and more than ever.
I would say for me, I was a little disappointed in season 2. I'd like to have seen more of Cinta. I felt like she was underutilized. And, I understood they kept her separate from, and away from everything. But I still would like to have seen more scenes. She was fantastic. She really was. Yeah. And she also was really good on Doctor Who, too. Side note, but she was, her performance is great. They're all fantastic performers. But she was exceptional too.
You could tell she made an impact because when I would see the Doctor Who promos, I'd be like, "Oh, there's Cinta," and I'd be like, "Oh, shit, there she is." I mean, I think she has probably the most brutal kill in season 1, where like she lures that Imperial into that room and just like shanks him, and it's like, "Oh shit."
She's brutal. I mean, totally.
I think that I think Marva, her speech has a lot of resonance to this day. Fiona Shaw,
her speech
again,
too
I was
fantastic.
I was just so used to her her from the Harry Potter movies, but like seeing her in this light, saying the last scene she had with Cassian was so heartbreaking. Did you? Let me ask you this, because I don't think we ever talked about this. Were you happy with what they got, or are you more fuck the Empire guy? You would have seen.
I wish they had a different word than fight the Empire, but fucks would seem like it should be the right word. But also, I am on the George Lucas trope in the sense that I don't believe that word is a word for Star Wars Star Wars itself. I just feel like it is a word that brings it. And that was my thing about season 1. I felt like there was a little bit too earthbound of a situation and stuff and moments that felt not just too real, because George Lucas is always taking real world events and situations and putting them in the space fantasy.
Fantastical,
It was this fantastic, and making a little bit of a fantastical out of that. I felt like that, again, going to season 1, I felt like it was a little too not as fantastical as Star Wars should have been in some ways. And
less galaxy far away.
It's the smallest nitpicking. So I don't believe the word fuck should have been the right choice. And I'm glad that Lucasfilm did step in and say, we don't want you to use that word, because it's not a matter of it being a kids show or anything like that, because we know it's not a kids genre, piece. Yeah. But it also just doesn't feel like it's belong there. They couldn't just go Dank Ferrick the Empire or something like that either. I don't know if there was a right word for the moment, but it's like, it's so tough. It is so tough.
I just love that story. I love the story that even Fiona was like, let's do fuck the Empire, and it's just like, I know you could do something else, but like not that one. And welcome back, Jeffrey. I hope everything was good on Jake's stream and whatnot. I look at it now, and
part of me wants to hear that word, though, but part of me does want to hear that word because it seems more natural than fight the Empire.
Exactly, more natural
for them to erupt into that, that attack, siege against the troops and everything like that in the street.
One of the most tragic. Yeah, one of the most tragic and scary stuff I had ever seen in Star Wars came out of this season, and it was the torture, big scenes, torture. As soon as they put those headset on, and then the technical side of like taking away the volume and just seeing what she's potentially going through, and then I'll never forget it. The camera is outside of the door, the door shuts, and then her scream echoes with the drill that's happening in Arcana 5, and it's just like. So messed up, but perfect editing. Like,
the editing, sound editing, everything again.
Somewhere Kubrick is going fuck. I think. You know what? We'll talk a little bit of season 2. I want to save season 2 for later on when we celebrate the premiere of anniversary for season 2. But it was 3 years we had to wait for season 2, which feels like a lifetime. And again, for those realizing this same year we're celebrating the 3 years of Andor premiere. The show just ended a few months ago. It just ended a few months ago. And I will never forget how, like, for a lot of us, we're like, okay, they're shooting now. Oh, we're seeing set photos of Cassian and Mon running from something. Again, at that time, I didn't know what they were running from, but you're like, oh shit, it's after the speech and going down. We waited 3 years. I remember seeing a little bit of snippet stuff in London celebration, and then the show comes out, and I don't know about you, but I was just surprised how much more stuff they were giving both Vel and Clea in this season. How much more nuance Bix was getting, and how much more menacing Dedra was coming out. Like, again, I could make the argument right now, the hardest hardcore fan in Star Wars towards the most laid-back hardcore fan in Star Wars, I can make the argument that this show, through both seasons, gave us, 10, 5, 8, maybe some of the 5, 8, 10 best female characters in Star Wars in fiction, in my opinion. And I can see a row of books, scripted podcasts dedicated to these characters going forward. Were you surprised at how much they got this season?
I want to, yes, and I want to know what Val's story is after Yavin 4. I want to know what she goes through. I want to know where she turns up. Does she pop up in the Ahsoka era? Did she survive to the end of all that? The same with what's the other character? What's his name?
Willem?
Wasn't it? Yes,
Woman.
Yeah. Woman. Yeah. I want to know I want to know what he got up to. And again, when Star Wars is done right, in my opinion, it is that you are so invested in these characters that when they do pop up in another story, whether it be a book or a comic or another movie or a TV show or a cartoon animation, that little part of you that was so invested in what they were in one show crosses over enough. And it's, we had the same situation with Star Wars Clone Wars, with Ahsoka coming into Star Wars Rebels. I wasn't expecting any of that. The moment that we actually got Ahsoka into the live action, just as invested, Ahsoka is a different example than that, because these other characters are very different characters than Ahsoka and not as well known. But any character, any droid, any alien creature that is there, it's if you're into Star Wars enough, it's an investment of wanting to know what their background is, where they go from here, where they came from. Yeah, and George Lucas created this world that for every child or child mind, they get to play in this playground with their action figures, and then you get to see them be here in this show, or be there in that movie, or be there in that animated show. And so it lives on in that way, I feel like. And his spirit of what he created for Star Wars, lives on in that way. It's very different with, say, the Marvel Universe or this or that. It's like, I don't know why it's so different. And I would take it back to my childhood that, it was a big part of, Star Wars was a big part of my imagination of growing up. And I think it still is to this day for kids and adults and everything. So again, speaking whether it works or doesn't work.
Speaking of imagination, have you heard the, it's not even a rumor, but just a fan, like, big push from the fan base that, and it was during one of the Ringiverse podcast interviews they did with Tony Gilroy, where the host asked them, some of our fans really would love to see, after the events of Andor, that Vel and Clea go, that, one of the big pushes they were wishing is that, like, what if after the events of Andor, and maybe during the events of the original trilogy, both, or, post, they said post and Battle of Endor, that Clea and Vel go on an Imperial hunt, almost like Nazi hunting, and they hunt down old warlords.
Oh, that'd be down for that.
And I heard that, and I was just like, I was like, take my money, take all my money. I want to see 10 episodes of them hunting down Imperials. And then,
wait. Is that what Gilroy actually had said would be? Or was that fans? Yeah, sorry.
So fans suggested that. They were like, "What if we get a show of that?" And in the video, I should probably pull it up. I'll pull it up in a bit right now. But in the video, he was like, "I didn't think of that." I was like, "Oh shoot!" And I love that, like, those two characters got so much push that, like, now there's so much potential, and I really hope that, like, for those who don't know, Dave Filoni is the chief creative officer at Lucasfilm. And I hope, although, yes, him and John are building up the Mandalorian, New Republic, Ahsoka era right now, that he also doesn't overlook or underlook what Tony and his team has been doing with Andor, and how much there's still a rich mine with these characters in this era to, like, spend time with and just dive into more genre stuff.
To have those characters kind of pop up in Dave Filoni's eventual feature film, which is going to be the fight against Thrawn, and just have them there, doing something important in that film, would mean the world to, again, is that it would mean the world to know those characters again, and not just A, lived on to that time in, period of time, but B, that they're even more, active than before in everything that's going on to block out the fascism and that sort of stuff. So, totally.
And again, like, we look at what this show did in this specific season, and I'll dive into it more once we do the anniversary for season 2. But, like, again, Genevieve Riley again came in swinging, swinging with his performance. And I mean, I don't want to be a bummer now, but like these past few months have been really like eye-opening of just like how low we can be as a country. And I'm telling you, I don't know about you, Brent, but I've been seeing her speech over and over and over again. And then guess what? I am not tired of hearing it over and over again.
No.
I know where I was at when I first heard that speech, and it's just fascinating to see how much they were willing to spend time. And again, it's just a show of how much more space there is with Star Wars still, I think, and just more potential.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. I agree.
So I found the clip. This is what I want to show you, and again, we'll show it for everybody who hasn't seen this yet. And for those who haven't seen it, go to the Ringverse podcast channel. They got to interview Tony, and there's a whole longer interview that's so good. But this snippet, this minute and 20 seconds,
right?
I was so blown away by it. I was just like, no fucking way that this is an idea.
I can't wait.
Yeah, so we'll watch it, we'll show it to everybody, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. See how you feel about this idea and this concept.
Another thing that the fans are all writing us about and talking about a lot online, which is the idea of a spinoff. Our listeners are particularly captivated by the idea of a Vel and Clea spinoff. This has been a big topic of conversation here at our show. You've been very clear in
Vel and Clea.
Vel and Clea hunt down Imperial remnants across the galaxy.
Yeah, it's
like Nazi hunters.
Yeah, Nazi hunters.
Yeah, there's a genuine passion for this idea. You've been very clear in other interviews.
I'm trying to. You got me. I'm trying to think. So Vel and
I can give you the pitch because it's
okay.
Quite
I got.
Can I add one more element to it?
Yeah, go for it.
Which is that Dedra Meero, because she's been sort of framed for the leaking of the Death Star plans, once the rebellion wins, is let out of prison and used as a sort of Hannibal Lecter-esque consultant on like how to track these people down. But she's using it. Again, this is one of our listeners' pitch.
You don't need me.
No, our listener came up with this, like using
it
to wreak vengeance on her enemies.
1,000 ships. You don't need me. You're on your way. That's a hip idea. I'm sure Kathy will hear about that. That's a good one. Yeah. All right.
Bro, the fact, like, Miss Kennedy, if you're watching it, if someone gets this to you, please come Los Angeles 2027. Get Elizabeth and Fea out on stage and get Denise out on stage. And it's like, what are they doing? It's like, we're going to do a spinoff of Andor. And guess what? These three girls are going to go not Nazi, Imperial hunting across the galaxy. And everybody's like, oh, like, oh, dude, that would be,
it's
so good.
Yeah, it's fun giving pitches because the pitches can be really, really good. It just involves
Rogue One.
It will involve a very solid writer to obviously go with those pitches and a good direction to pull it off, obviously. And that's the kind of thing. Sometimes you do see a really great director like Gilroy take these characters, mold them, shape them, and give us what we get. And then you see them passed off to another, not necessarily Star Wars, but in general, you do see characters passed off to another director, and then it falls flat. So it really needs a solid team of people,
I
really
agree.
pulling that as an idea, as a concept through to make that kind of work. But it'd be kind of fun to see at the same time. Yeah, absolutely. I like the idea with the Dedra, being pulled out of prison, kind of, the Hannibal Lecter kind of thing, which would be fun. Because I always felt, Dedra for me at the end of season 2 was like, this is great. She gets her just desserts, but still gets to live, which means she can get to still be a foil in the future of anything Star Wars. Can you just imagine if freaking Grand Admiral Thrawn pulls up and pulls her out of a prison cell from a New Republic prison cell and says, "I need you right now. You're a great tactician." He would do that.
Listen, he has his thoughts on how the Empire was run, and we know this because of Rebels and the other books we probably read.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: that is someone he would definitely like spring and be like, I could.
Oh,
use
totally,
you.
yeah. I
You
could
want a
use
rematch with the Rebels?
Yeah. He's the kind of character that's also like would understand the misunderstanding that she was given by blinded Imperial, people, commanders and stuff like that. Why she was put in prison, why those mistakes were made, when really she really did nail everything, and she made one simple mistake by being open to what's his name, to
Luthen?
not Luthen, oh crap, the boyfriend, why have I forgot his name?
Oh, Cyril.
Yes, Cyril, yeah. And letting information slide that just that was her weak link. Cyril was her unexpected weak link, I think.
Yeah.
Because he was the one who Cyril, I haven't even talked about Cyril. Performance again, first season, fantastic, really good. Didn't go the direction I was expecting. And I think that's what like overall, just not right through to his death, but just like the turn that he would end up in a weird one-way directional twisted relationship with Dedra. And it was really twisted. Let's just say, you must turn off the lights now. It's like, whoa, she doesn't care for his face. She just needs the action. And it's like, damn, that was funny to me. That was really, really funny. There was some, what can I say? More good stuff.
Cyril was a fascinating one because you saw where he was, and you could tell that like if only he would just shown how messed up the Empire was, would he still follow them all the way? I don't know.
Yeah,
and it was always a back and forth between that.
Yeah,
and how much even a lot of the fans were just they had so much pity for him because between his mom and his dynamic between her.
Yes, even forget about the mother. She was fantastic
Eddie,
too.
Whatever her name was. Yeah. But again, I think for me, although it was unexpected, it felt earned and it felt like right to see the way he went, and not even just the death, but like just how he was finally not denying what was actually in front of him. And again, it has to, the line in the episode's name, "Who are you?" Cassian throws him the line, "Who are you?" But like, it's that Gorman man who like tried diplomacy early on and saying and asked him, "What kind of a being are you?" That really hit home for him. And you see how early on in season 1 his obsessiveness, and Tony Gilroy has said as much that like he went native. He appreciated so much about the Gorman people and their society and their culture. And to me, one of the moments that really like made an impact on me is like when he gets back into the front of the plaza, and he's seen the reporters saying, local extremists, insurgents causing chaos, and the look on his face, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? These aren't insurgents. These are people. They're just protesting, and like just the mechanics going on in his head. It was just just so.
Every eye look, every twitch, everything that he did as performance was just like it was almost heartbreaking because the shock of how again we're jumping into season 2 of course at this point, but the reality is the shock of it shocked me when Andor said, "Who are you?" Because in my mind it was designed by design from season 1 into season 2 that you as the audience felt like there was a two-way connection between these two of avoiding and deflect, and it really wasn't. The fact that it was all one-sided and it was all from Cyril's point of view, that he and Andor was to Andor he was a blip that happened several years earlier that was just there and wasn't even important to him or registered to Andor. It was so much of a gut-wrenching drop of I remember, my reaction at the time was just like, holy shit, this just completely blew me away. It was
flipped everything on its head.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome.
We'll talk about Zero when we get to season 2 full on stream. But I think someone, and I'm about to wrap things up pretty soon. But I think someone that we should spend time talking about with is the man himself, Tony Gilroy. I really would like to hear your thoughts on Tony because my thoughts on him has really shifted over the past few years.
Yeah.
Even when the first teaser dropped, even when season 1 was delivered, I say, okay, this guy is good. Is good. He might be the funky uncle in the family, but he's good. He knows how to do what he does. And I remember, his interviews, being very open to be like, yeah, I'm not a big Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
And,
I remember those. I remember those interviews. It bothered me.
Yeah.
It did bother me.
The fan base be like, why the hell we let some guy who doesn't even have the from their perspective, the manners to be just chill, like, yo, you're doing Star Wars and whatnot. But like again, I remember being like, let's just and not everybody is gonna be like this.
Yeah.
As long as he delivers great stories, I'll give him a go. And then I don't know about you, but somewhere right before season 2 started dropping, I think it was around, especially during Celebration London, when he was being interviewed, he almost had a similar, I'm not even gonna say evolution, but he almost had a similar trajectory to the way I saw Harrison Ford start treating the franchise when he got back into Force Awakens and throughout the years now. And not to say that he was never grateful. He was always grateful, very thankful of what Star Wars did, but he also knew that, like, hey, I'm an actor. I'm not Han Solo. I was lucky enough to play Han Solo, but I'm an actor. And I felt the same thing with Tony. Of like, listen,
I'm a director.
Very fortunate. Yeah, I'm a director and a writer, but I'm very fortunate, and I don't take it for granted that I got to play in Star Wars. But I am a writer director. Yeah. How's your dynamics been with Tony throughout the years, and where do you feel about where he's at right now as a creative and as someone who left, in my opinion, left a mark on Star Wars?
That might have been my subconscious kind of, when I go back to season 1, the elements that took me out of it not feeling as Star Wars as it could have been. And again, I'm talking about the droids and the aliens and that little bit of quirky humor that we didn't necessarily get to break up the monotony of the drama. That is what showed through from the lack of Star Wars understanding to a certain degree from his direction. And I'm saying he didn't research, because he definitely did his research on everything, but he also left it up to the production designers and the art directors and all that to fill in these other fun little gaps that were there to see. Because we did, you go to Luthen's shop and you get all these fun little, mortis statue pieces and weapons from the Gungans and this and that, all these little bits and pieces that we saw there that were in there. The Shankara stones from Indiana Jones, which was so cool. But you ended up by getting a feeling that from what he was doing with the story, that it was the thing that made me go, yeah, he really isn't a huge Star Wars fan. He is there to tell a story, and he's doing that really well. And the part of me that wished that little bit more was more Star Wars again, if that made sense. It's hard to say that because I don't want to offend people, but it's like there is an element that didn't make it more Star Wars for me. And that's where season 2 changed. I don't know what changed him between season 1 and season 2 to make those moments a little bit more, what I consider a little bit more Star Wars. I don't know if it was him just taking in audience information and processing it from the first season going into the second season, but I feel like those little quirky moments in season 2 between the drama and the comedy is exactly what George Lucas did well in Star Wars. It's the Han Solo going, running the corner and shooting the stormtroopers, and then suddenly laying the Death Star and going, and runs back out and, almost gets shot up. Those are those little humorous moments that was not in season 1 of Andor. And I feel like he had at least stepped into season 2 going, that's something that has to break, because we are dealing with a heavy story, and you can't leave your audience on a complete heavy story note without a little bit of fracture between it to make the audience go, that's cute, and move on and break the monotony of a situation. I think that's for any TV show or movie.
Yeah.
You can't be so hard with the drama without breaking the tension a little bit, and he broke the tension a lot better in season 2. It's if I was to actually meet him face to face, my question specifically to him would be, I observed those differences from season 1 to season 2. Where did that choice come in, and what was that choice in him as a director to make that happen? Because that was the difference between me liking season 1 and me loving season 2. If that makes sense.
Oh no, absolutely. Again, I heard a lot of people who felt similar to you. And then I heard people who were like, this isn't Star Wars, what's with all the pauses and whatnot. And I remember, like, I completely understood where you were coming from. A lot of our fellow friends who felt that way of like, it's too serious and whatnot. And like, and I would always say, I'll take that over people, bitching and moaning and be like, this isn't Star Wars. I'm like, and I remember, I'll never forget it when Christian Hollow said it. This is as Wars of Star Wars as it gets, with boots in the ground and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I too did feel the change in it. And you know what? I've been leading up to this stream, I've been listening and rewatching a lot of his interviews he did once the show was fully out.
Right.
And then how much different it was when he started, because again, for those who don't know, this show initially was pitched of like probably 5 seasons of television. Like each season would be a year of the 5 years leading up to Rogue One, a la A New Hope. And then he started mapping out season 1, and he said it multiple times. He started panicking of like, how the hell am I going to be doing this? Because at this rate, it takes us 2 years to do a season. I'm going to be doing this for 10 years. And specifically also him and Diego were like talking like, Diego being like, listen,
he's going to be an old man by the time he reaches. You'll never agely meet up with
I'm getting older now. Like, it's like we can't do this that much. And I think what really shifted for him, and maybe that's where like a lot of that stuff, like I'm not a Star Wars fan when I like came about, like he felt he had a lot to do. And I think once he realized that he can do the blocks, the arcs as a year, each one would be like year 1, year 2, year 3. I think that's when he started having more relaxation and fun. Although he's always been saying like it was a lot of work to do. But I think in between the seasons, he saw how much people dug season 1 and how much people, whether they didn't dig it, they could appreciate what the people were trying to do, and how it felt like someone had a vision, and how it felt like it didn't hurt canon in the sense like, okay, maybe there's not enough, it's not as fun as other stuff we would watch, but nothing that's being given to us is breaking canon, which I think goes to show season 2, where like you could tell he probably had more fun, as he says, clarifying and making sure stuff was set while not screwing the audience, because he always said like, listen, without the audience we don't get to do this show. People dug season 1, so they gave us a shot to do season 2, and especially the way we structured it, which is why to me he earned his stripes by both canonizing the Tarkin massacre, which was the original Gorman massacre, and then he makes his own one, which then tees up Mon Mothma's decision to leave the Senate in Rebels, but focus in and like, all right, we know she has to do that. We get to do the speech. We get to do the evacuation, the escape plan.
But isn't there a part of you that really wishes Tarkin just flew with the Star Destroyer and just went crunch?
Sure. Part of me does wanted to see that, but if it was between
it worked perfectly. Oh,
if it was between
and what we got,
hearing the Gorman sing their national anthem, I was like, it is fucked up, but I'd rather see that than and again, we got the when we get to season 2, the bellhop guy, all the Gormans who are in essence connected to the French actors that were being played, which you can say that's you could link that up to the French resistance of World War II. You know, rebellions are built on hope. The guy saying that, how much that has essence. And again, the last thing that I fully did not expect him to do at all was mess with the Force. The thing, and you know, when we get to season 2, the whole thing with the Force healer and how much he was very much inspired by Ghost
Loved it.
of all stuff to do that is very, very fascinating. So to me, even when I see him talk, and like again, he's always saying it's sad how much parallels there are between the show, but the fact that the show is resonating with him and that he appreciates how much people are like taking to heart a lot of the dialogue, moments, sequences, character choices, I think it does. You know, I think it did help infuse his connection with Star Wars. And you know, to me, he's earned his break. I say let him go do his stuff. I'll be there to support it, especially if his next project is
maybe in 10 years he'll be like, you know what, I'm ready to do another one now. Maybe he'll jump back into the boat.
And dude, that would, you know, if he in 5-10 years, if he in 5-10 years comes back. Do you have any idea how much the fan base is just gonna roar in the auditorium? Like of him welcoming him back. I could very much see that. We're gonna start wrapping things up. We've been going an hour and a half with the stream, which is fucking wild. Which again, folks, shows a test how much we love this show. I love this show and these characters. But later down in a few months, we will definitely do another one of these streams. Or who knows, maybe for Life Day, we might do something. I don't know. But I know I definitely want to do another stream like this for the premiere of season 2. And then even then, by the time that gets there, we'll probably show the first teaser trailer. Maybe we won't because it's playing that awesome song, but they got copyrighted. Anyways, we'll show footage of what was like leading up to season 2. And again, season 2 dropping in the middle of Celebration or right after Celebration had happened is I think still madness. And then, you know, we could talk about how much the parallels between our world and our world. But I could safely say that I'm grateful that Andor exists. I'm grateful that Diego and Tony shepherd this series and these characters to life. I think I've told everybody how much I feel about Clay and Vel and the future of those characters, Willem, Dedra, have in store. And again, there's lines now because I know that are just as powerful for me as May the Force be with you. And I don't take that for granted, and I'm very, very, very appreciative. And right now, all I need left, I have season 1 on Blu-ray. I just need season 2, and I'm a happy camper. I'm a happy camper.
Season 1 is great.
Brent, thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with me.
Of course.
Before we go, I wanted to shout out the comment sections for showing up. Jeffrey, thanks so much for showing up. Sorry, not chatting, listening to you guys talk. I like Andor, but it's not my favorite thing of Star Wars. And again, I'm glad you put this up because that is okay. Before you shut up, Brent, I said The Mandalorian, Andor, Bad Batch, Rebels, all that stuff can coexist in the same galaxy.
Oh, completely.
And I think that's its strength, that like it can tell you we can go in different vibes and tones with this galaxy. There's a tone for everybody. It's not just for kids, and it shouldn't be just for adults. It can be for both. And I appreciate that about this franchise.
Totally.
He does say it is in his top 5 though. That's cool. I wanted to like it, but what they did, I wanted to that at all, but I like what they did better. Ronan is the GOAT. Thanks, Jeffrey. Take care, man. Have a good night. Brent, my friend. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your night to hang out with me. Please plug yourself. Let people know what you're working on, and tell them what you've recently did in Star Wars.
Okay. All right. So you can follow me on Brent Age of Grogu on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Instagram. I just did a reaction to Star Wars Rebuilding the Galaxy, the Lego one, 4-part. God damn, I love that. It was hysterical. Like, I genuinely freaking pissed myself. I tend to kind of get very overexcited when watching stuff like that. I love it when Star Wars can take the shit out of itself. And Lego Star Wars managed to do that so well. And if you're kind of sitting there going, oh, it's just Lego and it's, whatever, it's an animation or whatever, and it's Lego and it's stupid. There is some really cool stuff that goes on in that are just shameless plugs at either the toy lines or whatever. So if you get the chance, check out my reaction. At least those highlights that I edited are kind of like, representation of what I felt was fun about that. Although I have to admit, try to see the actual 4-part series. And then, of course, I also just dropped Alien Earth. I've been watching that as reactions. And in a month's time, I'll be doing reactions to Visions Season 3 when it comes out.
Beautiful. Yeah, folks, Visions is the next thing to cover for Star Wars on my channel as well. I'm also finishing up Alien Earth coverage that I'll be dropping soon. Peacemaker is going along as well. We're in the latter half of the season, and this was fun. I might have to do a stream for Life Day because I've never done a live stream for Life Day. There's a lot. There's a whole lot.
I never thought about it, but I was there when it first aired, so I remember. For
those who don't know what we're talking about, we're talking about the holiday special, the 1978.
9 years old, 8 years old. Shit. I think by the time it came to Australia, I'm pretty sure I was 9 at the time, so it would have been 1979. It ended up dropping there. But Australia got things much later in especially TV stuff and all that. But anyway,
Jeffrey says the one thing I can't wait is for Maul. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, it's the Maul Shadow Lord.
Yeah,
man, when they drop that trailer, it's gonna be a bomb on internet. Like it's gonna be like, yo, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
Folks, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us. Please share the enthusiasm, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Put your comments down below. What's your favorite Star Wars thing? What did you think of Andor? Is it your favorite thing, your least favorite thing? Is there a favorite moment, character, plot, episode? Let us know. May the Force be with you. And as they always say, I have friends everywhere. Take care, everybody.
No way out.